Welcome to Film Strip. These podcasts are spoiler-filled as we discuss the plots, characters, and themes of the films in review. All content used or discussed in these podcast episodes is the property of the respective owners and used under the Fair Use Act, Section 504, C2, Title 17.
Welcome to Film Strip. I'm Jay and excited to welcome back to the show Patrick and Anton from the podcast Why Wasn't It Better? Fellas, welcome back.
Hello, hello.
Thank you for having us back, Jay. This is a pleasure. I've been looking forward to this.
Oh, absolutely. We've been talking about this one behind the scenes for a while because we're here to talk about The Firm, starring Tom Cruise, Gene Hackman, Gene Triplehorn, Ed Harris, David Strathairn, Holly Hunter, Gary Busey, Wilford Brimley, and Hal Holbrook. Based on the hit novel by John Grisham, adapted for the screen by David Rabe, Robert Towne, and David Rayfield, directed by the late, great Sydney Pollack. Released in 1993 on a $42 million budget, and because you guys are here, that's about $97 million these days, and grossed over $270 million at the box office, just shy of $700 million in today's dollars. Spawned a run of Grisham adaptations. I mean, his books were coming out anyway, so this just pushed them all into overdrive for several years. A one-season TV series, I don't know if y'all ever saw that, and continued the cinematic legend of Tom Cruise, who at this point in his life was coming out of his 80s sheen and vacillating between Oscar bait dramas and big budget things that would, get him noticed and cash checks. But, the president of movies was at the height of his powers at this point. And I guess he still is these days. We'll find out with Digger, I guess. But, Patrick and Anton, before we get into this movie, though, please tell folks a little bit about Why Wasn't It Better? Because every podcast is someone's first.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Yeah, Why Wasn't It Better? We're available wherever you get your podcasts. We're on all the major platforms. If you've ever wondered why a good movie wasn't great or why an unsuccessful movie wasn't as successful as it should have been, we hope we have the answers for you.
Indeed. Always a good time to listen to you guys, and glad to have you back here. So why are we talking about this one? I know you're excited for it, Patrick, but I want to talk to Anton here first. What's your background with The Firm, man?
Oh man, this is a 90s classic. Everyone knows from the Why Wasn't It Better crew that I'm a 90s film fanatic, grew up in the 90s, and this is one of those TNT staples. So yeah. I always find myself just very nostalgic when it comes to films like this, and while The Firm itself is just quite a treat, so I'm excited. I know, well, for Pat, I know that this is this is at a very, I guess, prestigious level, and it's hard for me to say why not. So, I mean, I'll hand it to Pat. What is your relationship with this film?
This is one of my favorite movies. I recognize that it might not be a masterpiece, but I think in terms of a dramatic thriller, you can't do much better than this. I used to be a John Grisham fan, and what I mean by that is I just haven't read a lot of the stuff that he's published in the last 20 years, but I would say the first 10, 15 years of his career, kind of like Tom Clancy, is it literary masterpieces? No, but they were really page turners. This is probably the first Grisham novel I ever read. So I had a pretty special relationship with this because I read the book before I saw this movie, and I was probably 11 or 12 years old when I saw this for the first time. I've never fallen out of love with this film, and I think it's aged like wine. The more I see it, the more I like it. It's kind of a movie that doesn't really exist anymore.
Oh, yeah. We don't do these anymore.
No. And Jay, we talked about this when you were on our podcast for the first time when we talked Presumed Innocent,
yeah,
which shares a lot of similarities with this in some ways, where this would be, well, exactly what Presumed Innocent is now, which is an Apple TV streaming series.
And a great one, by the way. And those are hit or miss because I just finished hate watching that Cape Fear adaptation. Oh, boy.
I haven't heard good things about that.
Quite a hate watch, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. It was horrid, but that's another day on this. I like you, Pat, I read the book first, too, because a friend of mine told me I needed to. I was going to go see this. This was in prime movie going to the theater days for me. I was in high school when this came out. and I'd heard a lot about it. My brother I think he had read the book too. He was away at college, but he told me about it. And like I said, a couple of friends told me, "Hey, yeah, you need to read this. You can probably blow through it." I got it from the local library and just blew through the thing. John Grisham wrote peak airport novels, if you know what I mean. Like the
Yes.
thing you would buy when you were going on a flight or on a bus or whatever, and you could really kill them in one, two and fro, or maybe even just a two. And say what you will about Grisham's stuff, for a very smart man, he writes incredibly accessible fiction. And I've always appreciated that about him. Like you don't have to have a legal background to know what he's talking about. He'll walk you through it, get you there. And I appreciated that. And I like this one. I remember thinking about the book, man, that seems like a lot to try to throw into a 2 hour and 20-minute movie. At the time, like now, you knew how long the thing was when you went and saw it. And I remember going and watching this in theaters because I was really there for Tom Cruise and Gene Hackman. I like Hackman. I've always liked him, but I didn't realize until years later how absolutely stacked this cast is. And I rattled off a bunch of them there. There's 5 or 6 more people in this movie that have all done things, and we'll talk about it as we get through it. But yeah, I remember seeing this, and I couldn't help but think the same thing that you both have said. We wouldn't do this these days. You'd never get that ensemble of people together for just a one thing. You might get it for a 10 episode, arc or something like that. But even then, I don't know that it'd work. This movie exists in a world of work that no longer exists in America at all. Like this is pre the internet taking over our lives, and it's so clear. But the thing that gets me about it, and I give a lot of this to Sydney Pollack, is that he made a movie that was of its time that still works and feels a little timeless today because he didn't focus on all the stuff that makes it work. He focused on the drama and the people, and then he just turned actors loose to do things.
That's Sidney Pollack for you.
Mhm.
He always focuses on the characters and the performances, and that's why a lot. I mean, I would say most of his movies are pretty timeless.
Yeah. I mean, he's given us so many great ones through the years, and I think he's got such a neat eye for letting the audience be like part of the wall. Like if you've ever wanted to be the fly on the wall, watch a Sidney Pollack movie because that's kind of how he rolls. He doesn't throw you deep into it. You're not dead in the middle, but you're there to watch and observe all of it. You're the angel on the shoulder, if you will.
It's probably worth pointing out too. He's probably my favorite filmmaker, and this film, which we'll talk about when we get into it, has all of the elements that make him my favorite filmmaker.
I think people are going to like bring up
Mhm.
stuff like 3 Days of the Condor, you know, uh, maybe Jeremiah Johnson somewhere along the way, but he had such a prolific career behind the camera. I mean, going all the way back to what the mid '60s and stuff, and he made films up through the 20 or the 2000s. Some really good ones. So, what are some of your favorites though? Since he's your favorite, Patrick. Obviously,
You
this one.
mentioned one, 3 Days of the Condor is probably one of my 10 favorite films.
It's an incredible thriller. Yeah.
Makes
This is
sense.
on this list. This is on the list, of course. I have a huge fondness for Out of Africa, which I know you don't, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Jeremiah Johnson's a great movie.
Yeah.
And I mean, Tootsie,
Hmm.
I feel like has been kind of forgotten over the years a little bit. It's a great comedy,
It's
I
a
can't forget it. I'll tell you
yeah.
that.
No.
great movie.
It's a great comedy, and I'll tell you what. Right now, the way we were the Barbara Streisand, Robert Redford,
Hmm.
romantic drama.
Classic.
Most of them today draw a lot from that, like a whole lot from that movie. He made a lot of linchpin kind of movies, which is wild. Um,
Well, in his own words, he told Charlie Rose, I get bored without a love story. There's a lot of romance in his films, including this.
yeah.
Quite a romantic.
Yeah, that's what he
Well,
was.
and and it's in the book too. I mean, it's a central part of the story that Grisham was writing about this hotshot lawyer, and John Grisham. One thing I appreciated about him as an author is that he could download his knowledge of how the legal system worked, but then give it a dramatic flair without putting himself in the middle of it. You know, like Stephen King always writes himself in his own stories, and that's fine, and it's a narrative device. But I never felt like Grisham was ever writing himself, except a couple of times. Like Painted House is a book where he did. He'll tell you right now, Skipping Christmas is about him. You know, he was trying to get out of it, and his neighbors gave him a quote on it, and he thought that'd be funny. And so you know, he did that, and
AKA Christmas with the Cranks for
yeah,
Right.
yeah. Well, read the book; it's way
so random.
better. It's so much better. The book's actually pretty good, but
Yeah.
but you know, like again, he could put what he knew about the study of law and how law worked and all that kind of stuff into the background of the story, but it not be the story. I mean, this is called legal thriller, but you made a note in our doc, Patrick. This isn't really a legal thriller. There's like the only legal things you see in this are some documents floating around. Yeah, and him, you know, negotiating his salary. That's kind of it. You know, that's
No, it's not a legal thriller. I mean, there's no scene that takes place in a courtroom. And the other Grisham adaptation that came out the same year as this, The Pelican Brief, is also not a legal thriller.
no, it's a political thriller.
no,
Right.
that is
Love
absolutely
that
political
movie.
thriller.
I love that movie, by the way. I will stand by that movie. All
We
day.
covered that
Mhm.
way back in the day. It's one of our
Yeah,
early
that's
episodes.
it's an early one.
Yeah.
I know, because when I found your podcast, it was binging a bunch of James Bonds, and then I saw that on the list too, and I said that's going on there because this was on a Christmas road trip, and so I was like, I must have pods to keep me alive, and so I did. So it was a couple of years ago now, but no, I like all of those kind of things. But we talked about it on the Presumed Innocent show. I'm a sucker for that kind of legal entanglement thriller. I love all those things. Cruise was in a mode of these too. He had just done A Few Good Men, which has even less to do with the law than this movie does. That's just Aaron Sorkin's bullshit everywhere. But it's a good performance, and it's a good set of performances. Kevin Pollak's incredible in it, by the way. And of course, Jack Nicholson chews everybody to death.
Cruz is incredible in that.
He's really good. You know who's low-key not remembered enough for that is Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon is awesome in that as the
It's
prosecutor.
true. Good call.
So just another chameleon actor.
Another stacked cast.
As
They're
yeah,
good, man.
again,
It really
man,
is.
You really, I mean, I get it why you love it, Anton, because the '90s, you just get this every weekend.
Absolutely. Just such a time.
We didn't know how good we had it.
No, we didn't, but you know,
Or even obscure sci-fi films like Gattaca.
yeah, those are
Get a
loaded
cast.
too.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, well, you go back to any of this stuff. I think it was just the time, you know, and what we were doing. Nowadays, this kind of a huge cast, it would be like, and so is also in Avengers Doomsday. You know, like
Yeah.
the Trojan horse will appear in Avengers Doomsday. I think everybody's in it. I think the three of us, the only people that haven't been cast yet. So,
Unlike the Avengers films, too, no green screen on display here. Everybody was in
No.
the same room when they were acting together.
as someone who grew up not very far from Memphis, Tennessee, I can assure you this is what Memphis looked like in 1992 and 93, like to a T. So I've spent a lot of time there because it was only a couple of hours from again where I grew up, and I just remember going to Memphis, you know, and seeing it. And so when the Memphis was the setting for this, I was like, oh, this is perfect. You know, like, I totally get it. And I really enjoy that because it was a few years before the Oilers would move to the state and spend a year in Memphis. But, you know, there was hope even back then. But yeah, well, why don't we get into the plot here and then we can start digging into the movie because I've got some questions for you fellas. I hope you can help me weave through it. We'll call it the trial of the firm, if you will. But Tom Cruise plays Mitch McDear, a hotshot Harvard law student that every firm in the world is trying to sign like he's LeBron James coming out of high school. He's flanked by his way too hot to be a school teacher wife, Abby, played by Jean Triplehorn, who figures being married to a tax lawyer sure beats the hell out of the cop in L.A. her older sister hooked up with, or the crazy sailboat guy the younger one went for down in Hawaii. Swooping in like the frozen envelope is the Memphis law firm of Bendini, Lambert, and Locke, with an offer sweeter than rendezvous barbecue sauce. Mitch is wooed by the money they offer him, but the low-interest mortgage, a cheap lease on a Mercedes, and is this guy a wide receiver prospect for Alabama? Mitch figures this will give Abby the life she wants, even though she doesn't really ask for it, but whatever, it's the 90s and women aren't really allowed to have opinions in movies like this yet. Mitch hasn't even passed the damn bar exam yet when the FBI swoops in to tell him that his golden parachute is just a front for the Chicago mob, and he best get to snitching or to throw him in prison next to his brother, who apparently killed someone in a bar fight like he's working for Dalton at Roadhouse. Mitch trusts his assigned mentor, Avery, played by the always amazing Gene Hackman, who spends as much time cheating the tax code as he does on his wife. And this alerts firm security, Grandpa Diabetes himself, Wilford Brimley, or Detective DeVasher, if you will, that hey, we gotta keep this kid in line. So he sets a trap for Mitch with a Catherine Zeta-Jones lookalike on a beach for a hookup, and maybe the Jigsaw killer is taking pictures to use as leverage. We'll find out later. Mitch is desperate to regain control of his life, save his marriage and his career. Contacts a private detective who looks like Buddy Holly with blonde hair and his assistant Holly Hunter, who is playing Holly Hunter. And this gets Buddy Holly whacked by Jigsaw and Hank Schrader for his troubles. There's a lot of photocopying by Honey Hunter of bills and a bunch of Mitch running around because Cruz getting an insane amount of cardio is a must in every movie. And before he finally gets enough evidence to satisfy the Fibbies, but also save his career. Abby forgives him for the dalliance because she almost hooked up with Gene Hackman once in a scene that will scar anyone who thinks about it for more than a few seconds. And they take off to Boston for a new life in their old car with their mutt dog as credits roll and the billable hours stack to the ceiling. And that is the through line I can give you for The Firm. For a twist and turns thriller, it's pretty straightforward, and I'd say 2/3 of it are pretty much the book turned into the movies. The third act is where the screenwriter said, no, we're not going to do that shit in Pensacola. We're going to do something different.
And that was the right move.
Yeah, I would agree too. Anton, you didn't mention it. Have you read the book before?
I have not read the book before. So, I mean, I'm missing out. So Pensacola was a pretty big portion of the book.
Pensacola, Panama City. There's a bunch of time spent on the Gulf Coast at the end of that book. So
I missed out on the Redneck Riviera Grisham experience.
yeah, he had opinions about it. That's for sure.
Okay. Oh gosh.
He lived in Biloxi, so I mean, he's right there at it. So
I can only imagine he had many a draft that he wrote in a cigarette-filled casino room.
I mean, probably so, around his Ole Miss, buddies, alums. But okay, so first question for you guys here, real quick, because I think this movie is about a lot of things, but I think it's about the selling of the American dream in one way. And I want to ask, do you think this would work on anyone who came from money, or has been Danny Lambert Locke just looking for like brilliant people who are desperate to never be poor again?
Well, if you go by how they operated in the book, they specifically target Mitch because of his background and his upbringing.
Right.
They specifically don't want somebody with money.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
maybe I'm cheating on the answer, but
I mean, theme-wise, like thematically, it fits in that there's a lot around exploitation in the film.
Mm-hmm.
Different, whether it's gender, class, and then Mitch really just does fit into that very neatly, just because yes, he's very exploitable, he's very compromisable, and it also just fits naturally into the story.
The thing that struck me as I was thinking about it this time is there's 40-ish lawyers that work at this firm, roughly, give or take the dead ones and stuff, right? And you're like, not all of them could have had that background, right? Like some of them had to have come from somewhere along the way, because if you know the book side of it, Mitch got a football scholarship, but his knee got wrecked in high school. So he basically just used it to get an accounting degree from Western Kentucky University, who I know people there. I don't know anything about their accounting department, but that's a hell of an advertisement for it. And he parlayed that into going to Harvard, which is pretty good. So he's clearly smart. He took advantage of his opportunity, but I know I didn't get the sense that like Lamar or, even Avery, any of these other cats were people that were just, slumming it on the streets at some point. A few of them, sure, but I don't think all of them were like Mitch.
I mean, I think there has to be signals, whether it's the high loan, were they on a scholarship, and then how well they did, of course. And I think if you have that list and you have Wilford Brimley to do all your investigating, I think he's doing a pretty top-notch job.
Yeah, DeVasher is a whole vibe in this movie. We're going to get to him in a little bit, but I think the second thing about this movie that really struck me this time is that how every institution in it is corrupted. And I don't know that that's necessarily clear in the book. Maybe it is a little bit. But like the FBI is, the firm is, there's the mob, Mitch is, everybody in his life is in some way or another, and that's an interesting choice to take because you want someone to root for as the audience, right? But if you start peeling it away too much, there's not good guys and bad guys. Everybody here is varied shades of gray to black. you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I think that's one of the most underrated things Grisham does with his writing is he creates sometimes morally ambiguous antagonists.
Hmm.
Mitch is much less likable in the book.
Oh yeah, he's a
Anton,
jerk.
one of the
Yeah.
major differences between this and the book is that the mail fraud thing that he uses to solve his quagmire in this film is not in the book. That was invented for the film. He ends up just stealing a bunch of money from the firm and the FBI, and him and his wife just get away
Yeah.
at the end. And I think that was an intelligent decision to change that on the screenwriters and Pollack's part because they make him more likable. But that's always been one thing I've enjoyed about Grisham's writing is that kind
Mhm.
of moral ambiguity. And of course, everything we know about all these institutions is it's very realistic. The FBI, maybe they're obviously they're a law enforcement organization. They're ostensibly something that is created to do good, but what Eddie Lomax, Gary Busey's character, tells Mitch during the film, if those guys are feds, you better watch out because they don't give a damn about you. That's pretty
Mhm.
true to life.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, Ed Harris, we talk about it, just a thankless role. He's really in like four scenes, but just eats it up as Wayne Torrance, the FBI agent. Like the man, he even to this day, he shows up on these Taylor Sheridan knockoff, Paramount shows now, and he's still giving a hell of a performance. The dude just doesn't miss. He's just one of those grand character actors.
Yeah, I mean, when I think about the systems that are corrupt, I also think about just what does the film say about corruption and greed in general. I
Hmm.
feel like Mitch is shown that he's absolutely tempted by the money, the car, the
Yeah.
loans being paid off. He has a smoking hot wife, but he's still tempted and cheats on her.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot there when it comes to with power and money, like corruption will and can occur.
Well, I think there's something even neat in the cheating thing and the way they get him because they have to set him up twice. First,
Right.
they have the smoking redhead at the bar that just is throwing herself at him, and she's like, "This ain't happening," or he says that and walks off or whatever. So they go for the next thing. They're like, "All right, Mister Altruism, we'll give you somebody to rescue, and we'll just make her, tan and dark headed." And like I
He's like, "Ooh,
said,
this gets me going."
I mean, that was it.
You
He
you
he
know that
he
was Devasher's
fixes.
idea. Like, look, we're gonna have a backup woman. Maybe he likes Hispanics.
Yeah, you
I
don't
love to think he's on a boat with binoculars, just looking on.
watch
Oh,
it.
yep, that's oral.
Anton, you need to read the book because there's a
Yeah,
whole subplot in the book about how
yeah,
uh Oliver, what's his name, Lambert, who
yeah.
played by
Lambert.
Hal
Yeah.
Holbrook, he's like
Yeah.
really into looking at the pictures of
Yes, he's very sick.
prospective people having sex with I guess hookers.
Yeah,
And
Oh
he's like
gosh.
Devasher, he's like, "Can you get me copies of these pictures?"
yeah.
And Devasher's giving him shit in the book. He's like, "Oh, I know you like to look at the pics, Ollie."
Oh,
Ollie.
that's so
Yeah,
funny.
they
Ollie.
go way back to like New
Yeah.
Orleans or something because
Yeah.
Devasher used to be
You
a
have to
cop.
read the book.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
great.
I mean they give him so much more, but we'll talk about this too right now. The casting of Hal Holbrook and Wilford Brimley as your two most evil people, supposedly at the law firm, genius. You got
Perfect.
you got these
Yeah,
genteel
perfect.
grandpas to just be the most bastards in a room full of them, which is wild. So, I mean, I had a question though about that. It's like, who's the most ethical person in the movie? Is there one? I guess Abby, because she's sort of honest the whole way through for what
Right.
little they give her to do. I mean,
Tammy?
you know what? That may
Yeah.
be a good point. Yeah,
Yep. Poor Tammy.
yeah.
Uh,
Holly Hunter got nominated for an Oscar for 5 minutes and 38 seconds of screen time. No scene of hers is longer than 20 seconds.
I, all right.
What an impact.
Can I address this?
Yes, please.
Because I've heard this criticized. Like, well, how can you
Oh,
be nominated if
I'm
you're
not
only in the
criticizing
movie?
it. I'm
Okay,
telling you
good,
that's how
good.
awesome she is.
I know she's fantastic, and I think the screen time thing is overrated. People
Mhm.
make a big deal out of screen time. Well, she's only in the movie 5 or 6 minutes. How could she be nominated for an Oscar? For me, it's not how long you're in the movie; it's how important your character is. Her character is the most important character in the movie.
Yeah,
She's the MVP of the movie.
do you ever forget her?
No,
Every one of her scenes you remember,
no.
and it's all in. It's the trifecta. Holly Hunter brings that wild look they gave her. She brings that super accent that she's never going to shed, and she shouldn't. And she brings all like the chutzpah with it too, because after Lomax gets killed, she could just bounce town. She goes and finds Mitch, and walks in his law firm with a damn sandwich, to tell her, you need to come talk to me,
Yeah.
and only because he made a decent impression on her while she was throwing herself at him in the office. So another time this happens. This is a fun thing though. This was part of movies where everyone must throw themselves at Tom Cruise at all time, and they do this entire movie. I think Lambert even makes it past at him at one time. But no, really, that's the wild part of this is that again, everything's morally compromised, and on second viewing, like you can think of Locke a couple different ways. The book, setting aside what we know about the book, Pat, what I love about it is that I think he flat out tells Mitch, or he's trying to tell him in his own way what's about to happen to him when they've got him down in Memphis and he's walking him around on the Peabody Hotel and all that nonsense. He's telling him we're a small firm, we keep it real close to the vest. This Southern thing works because we keep each other's secrets. He's basically telling him, look, bro, we're all fucking crooks, but this whole system sucks. And you know that better than anybody. So what do you say? I mean, I love how it's very, well, we talked about this before on other shows. It's very similar to the way like Real Temptation works from a biblical perspective. It's never this overt, right? It's just reeling you in slowly but surely.
Yeah, and I mean, especially when presented with dialogue without just outright saying it. Oh, by the way, we're all crooked here. It's, the firm frowns upon drinking during working hours, and he still orders one anyway.
Yes, I'm about a few minor rebellions or whatever he says.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to talk about all the people around this movie, and we got to get to Gene Hackman at this point now because he's not in any of the marketing stuff. He's in the credits obviously because him and his agency or whatever had a dispute because Cruise had to deal with like his name above the title or whatever, but it didn't change his performance at all. I mean, and I never thought of Gene Hackman as this smoldering ladies man, but he kind of works. I mean, you could see it. Like Avery would just sucker people in.
I wrote that down.
Mhm.
I'm like, Hackman as a ladies' man. Like, I didn't know he could do this.
No. Yeah, they originally were going to change it, and Grisham talked about they wanted Meryl Streep to do it. They were going to flip the gender on it, and Grisham like protested. It was like absolutely not. Like I get what you're trying to do. It's got to be an older man that you got to get somebody else, and so then they went and got Gene Hackman. What a great talk about! You could have won either way. Imagine this with Meryl Streep for a minute. Talk about a role she never played. So
I mean, obviously we all love Meryl Streep, but no, that was the right call.
yeah.
I think it's just great against type. I mean, Hackman has played plenty of mentors, but
And he's played bad guys.
But the sleazy, womanizing.
He is completely sleazy.
He hits on Abby at a funeral.
Yeah.
Very Will Ferrell in Wedding Crashers.
Yeah. A little bit of that hair energy too at the time he's got going on.
Well, this is what Sydney Pollack does best, right? I texted this to you, Jay. Is like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you this is the best performance from Tom Cruise or Gene Hackman in their careers, but Pollack always brings out, in my opinion, the best versions of the actors. And what he did with Hackman here, now obviously the role had already been written. Avery Tolar was Avery Tolar, but you to the point you brought up, you never thought of Hackman as this guy who had sex appeal, and he gets away with it in this movie. He's totally sleazy. He's a complete scumbag. He's mobbed up, and yet in the end, when he's doing this confession to Abby before she drugs him, you feel sympathy for him. You're like, wow, this is like this sad guy.
That scene he and Cruise have with Jerry Weintraub in the Caymans when they're basically deferring his tax forever or whatever, and Jerry Weintraub's just doing his best, every mobster he ever met, being in the music business, and there were a few. Like he's funny, but you see Hackman's comedy coming out in that too, but also like he's trying to like balance of like how much do I let Mitch talk and not talk, and then Cruise does his whole I've never actually cursed in real life before a performance where he tries to talk about what's going to happen to, dude, if he doesn't take the deal. But it's great though, because it shows you like, yeah, there's this young, ambitious guy. This is the thing that in the book, like Mitch McDeary is incredibly smart, and Cruise like weaponizes competence and smartness in this movie. He's good at doing that in movies, but he's not playing an action star. He is playing a brain, and in the book, it's real clear. Mitch is really the smartest guy in the room, and he knows it. Because of that, he talks too much, and that's what's funny about it. Is this is an example of doing that, but it works. And this is why Tolar loves him, because he's perfect, and it's also why the firm weren't dummies when they assigned Avery Tolar to him. They knew, hey, he can probably bring out the best in this guy. And once it's time to tell him the truth, he'll accept it. So
It's everything that works about Gene Hackman. It's the best. Like I said, it's not his best performance, but it's the best version of Hackman because he's giving you all of his bad guy stuff and all of his good guy stuff in the same role.
I mean, the other thing too is the way that they have to operate in this world. We talked about it. This isn't a movie that would work today because of the way that we do work anymore. This is a world of copying and fax machines and all that. And the world of encrypted email and smartphones and cloud storage, this is a totally different story. And I'm not saying you couldn't make it work, but you have to spend significant amount of time going through that. And what's neat about this is that all of that stuff, like, we said this isn't a legal thriller. It's a paperwork thriller. There's tons of, like, the way that Pollack makes that part of the set and it just moves amongst the dark mahogany and everything is pretty cool. Like, I love that, because the thing is like at some point in this movie, I stopped watching Tom Cruise and Gene Hackman, and Hal Holbrook and all these people. I may never stop watching Wilford Brimley. He's kind of always Wilford Brimley, but everybody else just sort of disappears into the thing. And I give a lot of that credit to the direction and things, because these are people you knew going into it, and then know from things, for 30 years afterward too. That's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it also comes down to how grounded the setting feels. Everything, like, despite this being in the 90s, I feel I don't, nothing goes over my head, whether it's picking up a phone with a landline, faxing anything, making copies of anything. I feel like ensemble films nowadays, they have to feel a bit more grander, bigger cuts, a bit more editing. This felt very grounded from that sense.
How much is the setting of Memphis so important to this? And I know why Grisham took it. It's where a lot of Ole Miss lawyers wind up. Memphis and New Orleans are kind of their haunts, if you will. But I feel like you couldn't drop this in New York and Chicago and it worked the same way. You have to have a big city that doesn't feel like it anymore.
Well, no, you're absolutely right. And one of the reasons why this movie stands apart from a lot of others is the Memphis setting.
Yeah.
Now, you could have done it in, I think, any number of smaller cities, because one of the reasons why Bendini, Lambert, and Locke flies under the radar is because they're located in Memphis, and they make that point to Mitch. We're not one of the big New York or Chicago or LA firms. But it's totally unique, because, I mean, how many movies have you seen in Memphis?
Not many. Not
I
the
don't know
non-involving
if I can
Elvis.
think of any other one.
There's the Terrence Howard Memphis film where he plays a pimp.
Hustle
and
Hustle and
Flow.
Flow.
Okay, yeah, good shout. Yeah, good shout.
It's a good call. I like that. So, I mean, hey, you're right. There's not a lot of it. I guess Castaway technically originates from Memphis because FedEx is there, but it's not really in Memphis. So
Right.
maybe that didn't count. They
But
go there.
I'm so glad they kept that from the novel. Like a lot of other films would have just put it in New York or something.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like I love that they set that, and then again, this is a sign of the times. And maybe we've gotten back to this. I see more of this these days. They're shooting it in Memphis. Like, again, guys, I could go and see these places that they were at. Like, and I did. I remember, walking by some of it going like, that's where the thing in the firm was, like you wouldn't notice half of it now at all. Cause of course it's all changed. But, in 1993, this was something I could access, and I love that. I think that's cool though, because it was a thing a lot of people were into and looking at this point. I think it matters because It is a genius idea. Where else would you hide a law firm, for the mob? You wouldn't hide them in Chicago and where you'd stick them where? St. Louis, Kansas City, and Memphis,
Or
right?
Tulsa.
Or Tulsa. There you go. Yeah, exactly. So that's exactly right. So I think it's a genius idea and it's a great setting. And then again, they use the heck out of it too. I mean, we joked about it in the plot summary. Cruz does a whole running thing out of the cotton exchange and falls on that's the cover of the book is this guy falling down this building. And that's what the cover
Yes.
art was because he jumps out the friggin' window in the book too, to fall on the cotton truck. It's a great idea and it's an incredible visual. So, uh, I just think it matters, and there's something about Memphis that makes the story believable. And again, then you cast people that can play off of that too, which is great. Um, I want to go back to Hackman's role and Avery Tolar here in a minute because I don't think Avery Tolar is a villain at all. I think he's tragic, and in some ways a little bit pathetic. He's kind of hit the point in his life that I mean, his wife's gone and, because of all his ways, she's had enough or whatever, but Devasher didn't kill her. So he doesn't have any kids per se, he talks about. So all he's got is what? Work and, philandering. And I think there's something about both he and Hal Holbrook see something in Mitch McDear that they reminds them of themselves much younger. Maybe at different stages because Holbrook's a lot older, but I don't know. Like, part of me is particularly at the end after he's been drugged and he knows what Abby's doing to him, and what's going to happen to him. I think he's like rooting for Mitch to succeed in this. Like, I think he didn't have the courage to bring the firm down, but I think he's kind of glad somebody is. Do y'all see it that way?
No, I mean I love that take. It's what Mitch is just looking at a future version of himself, and this is the only way to avoid it.
No.
Yeah, I agree with you because, when is it Devasher? Who calls him the following morning?
I think it's Devasher.
I
Yeah.
think it's Devasher. Yeah.
Mhm.
He doesn't give Abby up.
No.
He could have, but he
Mhm.
doesn't. And I think that confirms what you're saying. I mean, he even the night before, yeah, you're right. When she's drugged, that's when you really do feel for him. When he's just like, I was hoping you just wanted to see me.
Mhm.
And like, yeah, man, yeah, he has nothing left. He's just a shell of a person.
I mean, the internet lore of it is because it's not specifically told in the movie. In the book, he lives, but he dies in the movie. And the internet lore is Devasher has him killed. I've never read it that way. I've read it that he hung up the phone, went in the bathtub, and took another drink and just laid back and let the water do the work. I feel like he was at the end there.
I like how they don't explain it though.
Hmm.
They let you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you might be right because like I think he probably realized like Devasher's guys probably would have killed him.
Yeah. I mean, he was going
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was
So,
no way he walks away from that.
I
yeah.
don't want to deal with Jigsaw. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I don't want to screw them. That's a very scary looking man. Tobin Bell has always been a scary looking man. They call him the Nordic for a reason in the book
He
and in
was
the movie.
totally unknown at this point, right?
Oh yeah, I don't think anybody knew who he
Yeah.
was.
Okay.
No, no.
Yeah.
He had. I don't even think he had he done that bit part in. I know In the Line of Fire was a few years after this.
Same
So,
year.
yeah. Oh, same year. Oh
Same year,
God.
93.
So he plays a thug twice. So, but he's good at both of them. So he's got personality for days. He doesn't get to do much in this. I think it's funny when they bust into, Gary Busey's detective agency and Hank Schrader gets blasted in the leg and then he shoots him to death. It's like, well, you going to ask him questions now?
But he even manages to make his mark though when he does that little finger wag.
Oh, yeah, with the
over
guns.
the gun
Yeah.
to
It's going to end
Busey. It's
badly
like,
for
man,
you.
just
Yeah.
man, the casting director.
For years, I thought Tobin Bell was foreign because if you listen to him when he first starts talking, he's like affecting this accent, but then it drops. Once he starts yelling at
For whatever reason, they kept that from the novel. He's like Norwegian
yeah,
in the novel,
yeah.
and they just chose to keep it.
The
in the
way I
film.
read it this time was that he dropped the accent and they left the take in because it's even more interesting that like he would just affect that as a psycho hitman to mess with people, because he doesn't really talk the rest of the movie. He's only in the two scenes.
Not much.
Yeah, but it's a cool again, it's a movie populated with people that you know from later stuff as well as what they were doing at the time, but it's neat to see them in this moment and go like, "Oh man, yeah, Jigsaw is a hitman. I totally buy it." Sure. you know. And again, Hank Schrader was just a thug. I mean, he'd been a thug in
Mm.
Total Recall and had been bouncing around
Yes.
doing thug
Yes.
roles forever till he got Breaking Bad. So,
Even Mitch's secretary is played by one of the greatest character actors of all time in Margot Martindale.
yes. See, this is Sydney Pollack's thing. Is like the 12th
Yes.
person on the list is somebody who's really good at acting and they're in two scenes. And they probably just did it to do stuff with him because he was so easy to work with, according to everybody that ever talked about him. So, I mean, Redford loved him. So,
He was an actor. He started off as an actor, but before he was a filmmaker, he was an actor. He was a dialogue coach.
mm-hmm.
He had a thing with actors.
Yeah, I mean, it's a film like this that actually really makes me think of that new Academy category, best
Mm-hmm.
casting. This absolutely
Oh,
goes in that.
definitely,
This would have
definitely
totally
would've
been in the
won.
running.
Oh,
I
yeah.
agree. Yeah. The thing about this movie in 93 too is it wasn't that it was just another thriller, but it sort of encapsulated everything that we had been obsessed with in the 80s and we're now transitioning to the 90s with, yuppie corporate success. We had had Wall Street and all that stuff, the white collar ambition and all of this. And I love that the question this movie asks, and it's even a little beyond what the Grisham novel's asking, but it's like, what if everything in America promised you came true, but it was all owned by the mob anyway? Like that's a hell of a way of looking at it. But it's like the perfect 90s anxiety movie because of that.
It really is. And it's transcended the time too. Like I think it still works despite the changes in technology.
Mm-hmm.
It still manages because a lot of those themes are like everything you just described, nothing's changed.
It's all the same.
The
It's just,
35 years or what since this came out.
yeah.
It's everything's the same pretty much.
It's just all in a computer in your pocket now
Yeah.
versus
Right.
having to go to like, offices and, file clerks and stacks of papers and whatnot. But the same stuff is still the same stuff. I think that's what makes it so neat to look at and go back and look at. And again, I give a lot of credit to the fact that it holds up to Pollack, who lets all that stuff exist, but doesn't get hung up on it and is spending time on the drama of the characters. And we haven't talked about
Right.
it. But we got to talk about Jean Triplehorn as Abby, because like I said, in the 90s, women were there for two reasons in movies, but she actually has like a real character. And in the book, it's even more true, but I think they brought out the best of the stuff from the book. Maybe she's a little too, I don't know, forgiving or whatever, but she's like Mitch's biggest, cheerleader, and he doesn't freaking see it at all. And he treats her like a piece of furniture. So in some ways, it makes you hate him a little bit, but he's got good intentions, but wrong methodology is what I'd say. But I love Jean Triplehorn in just about anything, but I really like her in this. I thought she was so much fun, and she looked like a real person too. I always appreciate people that look like real people that existed in the world and not friggin' supermodels.
Yeah, she starts off as just the supportive housewife. And for like 2/3 of the film, that's more or less what the role is. You could call it a stereotypical female role in the film. And then when she makes the decision to go down to Grand Cayman,
Yeah.
she transforms her role into something else entirely. And I agree. I love the performance from her. Mitch totally takes her for granted. Yeah, maybe she's forgiving. Perhaps. I mean, the thing is like if Avery hadn't interceded, she was going to leave him, I think.
Mm. She was getting to the point. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is interesting. It's a subversion of the role.
Mm-hmm.
And they picked the right actress for it. I had forgotten about Jean Triplehorn because she's kind of disappeared. I mean, this was I don't know if the Waterworld experience.
She had a lot of stuff, and then she
didn't help.
transitioned as a lot of women in Hollywood do, to playing the mom and now the
Yeah.
grandmother. It's kind of she does a lot of TV and stuff now, but she had a long career on stage and things. But like her and Holly Hunter have great energy together in the times when
Yep.
they're doing like the spy work, if you will. Like I thought
Yeah.
that was fun. I was like, okay, the movie's having a lot of fun here, and you could tell they're having fun with it. So.
I could have watched separate movies about a lot of the characters in this film.
Yeah, I kind of want the Eddie Lomax Tammy prequel.
Yes.
At least an episode of it.
We definitely need to see DeVasher when he's a police captain in New Orleans.
Oh yeah, 100%. On the
Has anyone
Definitely, yeah.
has anyone seen the series?
No, I never watched any
No,
of it. Have
no.
you seen any of it?
No, I haven't.
I
No.
read a little bit of descriptions on it. And I was like, nah. I mean, they kind of picked up. They really picked up from where the book left them. You know, they come out of witness protection and all this. Whereas in this movie, they just take off to Boston and say, "Screw everybody," and we're going to do our own things. They did not pick up from the movie, and I think that was a mistake. I'm like, I understand you have a book and you know you want to live off of that, and there's stories that were in the book that you're going to now lace into this new series. I still think you could have done that and just picked up from the, you know, the
Now,
thing everybody knew. But yeah,
I
nope,
have read the sequel novel,
I
which
have
came out a
not.
year or two ago.
I have not. I read what the synopsis of it was, like
The
what it's
Firm
supposed to be
2.
about.
It's called The Exchange.
Yeah, I read
Oh,
what it was about, and I was like, nah.
It's not really a sequel. It's
Yeah,
about Mitch McDeere 30 whatever years later, but it's not related to the events of this
yeah,
story at all. It was pretty disappointing.
yeah. Of all the characters I wanted to know more about by the end of that book, Mitch was not on the top five. And the same with this movie. I don't need to know more about. I kind of know what he is. Everybody else is who's way more interesting.
The only recurring character that you meet in the book is Lamar.
Oh, okay. He
And
comes
it's
back.
not, well, he all Mitch goes to visit him and he's just like, "Hey, I went to jail because of what you did." And Mitch is like, "I'm not sorry." And he's like, "Okay, peace."
Yeah, okay.
That's it. It's pretty. It's just not.
You
I
say,
was really kind of excited for it, and I shouldn't have been.
I mean, he gotta. I mean, yeah. Everybody that's still alive is going to prison at the end of that. At the end of this story, like except Mitch and Abby. So, another great character actor, his brother David Strathairn, as as
mhm.
I mean, again, this sort of introduced me to him. This L.A. Confidential, so many things he's been in, but just a great guy. And I think years later, I got the audio book of this, and he read the book, so he was really
Oh, that's
good as the
awesome.
audio book of it.
Mhm.
If I remember this, and I think he did another Grisham too. He's got a great voice, you know. Anyway, he's a stage guy, and you can tell but he's so much fun in this. And again, somebody that's not in the movie, but for a handful of minutes, but he's got great energy, great chemistry, and he's a good foil. The thing that Mitch is trying to hide and ignore is also the thing that, like, outside of Abby, is most important to him, besides his career, you know. But he's trying to save all three of them at the same time, which is, I think Cruise wears weariness really well. He always has when he's trying to juggle everything, whether it's a nuclear submarine or,
Or
you know,
Alien Invasion, or
invasion. Well, maybe not that one, but but yeah, you know, other things like when he's trying to weigh everything together, he's good at emoting through that. I think I've always found him to be a good performer that way. I
And
like,
this was the right time and age for Tom Cruise. He was the perfect age for this role.
yeah,
You could say that, I think, about the whole cast. This film does something pretty unique, which is not only is it a loaded cast, it catches everybody at just the right point in their careers. Everyone in this film is
Mhm.
very much in their prime.
yeah. I mean,
No one's too
Cruz.
old, no one's too young. They're all right there.
Yeah, I mean, Cruz would have been 30 when
Yeah.
they made this, so he's right at the. I mean,
Wow,
he's a
that's
little
goodness.
older than
Yeah.
the character, but he could play so
He
young.
looks boyish still.
I mean, the character would have been what, 25, 26?
Roughly.
Yeah, yeah.
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 Give or
So he's
take.
right there.
Yeah.
You know how old Gene Hackman was in this? He's
63.
63 years old. He's supposed to be playing in his late 40s. He looks it, but he's in his 60s. So, you know, don't make them like those anymore.
But that's the thing with this cast. There's no miscast. There's
Yeah.
no role where you're like, oh, they're too old for that. They're too young for this. No, everybody in this
Yep.
is just perfect.
Even, you know, again, grandfatherly Wilford Brimley is terrifying as Devasher. Like, I'm scared to
Uh,
death of this man.
can I tell you something more terrifying?
Mm.
He is younger in this film than Cruz is now.
Oh God.
Now that's a fun thought.
Just let
Yeah,
that sink in.
That's
I
a
did
really fun
read
thought.
something like there was only a few years between him and Hal Holbrook or something like that, or
Yeah.
Holbrook and Hackman. Like they were all like very close in age, but they were supposed to play years apart. So, I mean, God, that is wild. So, I mean, Wilford Brimley's always like perpetually 67. Like it's sort of been my
Yeah.
experience with it at
Mhm.
least.
He's
Uh,
got that Benjamin Button syndrome or whatever. I don't
I
know.
mean, Benjamin Button on pause. Like he's just sort of the same. He's a vampire, which Cruise would do years later, as we know. But I don't know. I love him though because again, he's this grandfatherly, malevolent presence. And what a hell of a casting choice! Like, give me the sweetest old man you can find. And we're gonna make him the baddest mofo of all of these people. So he's the lead hitman from a corrupt police unit for the mob and he works for the law firm. Sure. Like it totally works.
It's inspired casting. I mean, can I let me ask you this question? Is this the best use of Wilford Brimley ever in a movie? I say yes.
1,000,000%.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd say so.
So good they parodied it on Seinfeld.
Yeah. Well, they people have parodied this for years, particularly that when he's laying the pictures out scene.
Yeah.
I non-sarcastically said to someone one time, if Holly Hunter got nominated for this movie, Wilford Brimley should have been too. And they looked at me weird and like, I'm serious.
No, he totally should have.
Mhm.
It's a great performance too. And the way he goes down is pretty harsh. I mean, Mitch literally beats the shit out of him with his briefcase. He
Beats
kills
the
him.
shit out of him.
I mean, yeah, they set that up because Cruz, of course, does. I love that he does like a cartwheel or whatever on the street, and Abby's walking around. It's like, well, that's just what he does. Like,
There he goes.
yeah, just friggin' flipping, turning flips because Cruz is, in more shape than anybody here. They set that up though because he's hanging from the rafters later, and all that incredible amount of sweat off that man. That suit is ruined.
He plays it perfectly. He delivers every line with the exact same cadence as the Quaker Oats commercials. What do you suppose she finds there, Mitch? She finds oatmeal, Mitch. Delicious.
Oral.
Not just screwing, Mitch. Intimate acts.
There's just something so menacing about him leaning on the car, not looking at Cruz's direction the whole time.
Mhm.
As he's saying, I'm just looking out for you.
Well, I love how he does say, I know you'll do what's right, Mitch. And I know you'll protect the firm. Just the way he says all that, like you can tell, like he's laid this on so many of these cats. And you can see it running through Cruz's head too. Like this is good face acting again. He's going like, holy shit, they do this to Lamar too? Probably so. They do this to the guy down the hall. Shit, Avery? Well, hell yeah, of course. Like, he knows. Like at that point, he's going down the roster of everybody in that firm going, holy shit, what do they have on everybody? Like he knows. And the other thing too, this is like me connecting cinematic universes. When he goes to the tax seminar in DC or whatever, and the FBI is finally like, all right, time to let you know. And they bring out Denton Voiles, a common character in a lot of Grisham novels. He's like the
Yes.
Jack Crawford of the Grisham novels, if you will, to Tom Sayers. But when he's laying out all that stuff on the bench for him, that guy is, I'm like, in my head, I'm going, now this was the bench where Mr. X laid it all out for Jim Garrison years before in JFK. It's just snowy now. Like really, they connect together. So,
Oh, I love that connection.
well, they're like anchor points of the movie, though. Like both of the movies have that same moment where, like, you think you know what's happening. Now I'm about to really give you a lens you haven't seen before. It's the most like credible thing the FBI does along the way is that if they're going to get you, they got to tell you like what's the score.
Oh, no, 100% this is what the FBI would do. Like they threaten him with his brother's parole. And you said unique lens. I'm sure this is not the only movie to do this, but as far as I know, this is the only movie I know that I have seen that shows Washington, D.C. with snow on the ground,
Yeah,
which you never see in a film.
no, it's always when it's pretty, especially the Lincoln Memorials where all that.
Yeah,
was.
the cherry blossoms.
Yeah, they want to show now it's dead. And I think that's on purpose though. I think Pollack has chosen that on purpose because he's like, no. I want you to see the surroundings you're in are stark and the situation you're in is even more stark. You need to realize what you're in right now. And I don't know. I love that scene though. I love Stephen Hill anyway. And obviously the people from Law and Order are like, yeah, that guy. That's the DA. He was the OG DA on original Law and Order, if y'all don't know. But
It's the same role. He's just
Same.
Right.
You believe it, Mitch.
well, it's like the guy that plays the mobster opposite of Paul Sorvino at the
Yeah,
end.
and
or
Joe
whatever.
Vitarelli.
Yeah, that dude always plays the same guy. So I think Ruth is right.
Maybe the best line in the movie.
I distinctly remember the audience cackling when that happened. Like it was just a great laugh break. So, no, but that's cool. Alongside all this, we got to talk about Dave Grusin's cocktail piano score. Man, that could have gone wrong real fast, but it worked. I think he's like he's like trolling the audience with how like slow, relaxed jazz it is while people are friggin' dying all around you. And he's just playing this little tinkling, eyes wide shut, proto piano shit, but it totally works. I mean, I love it. That opening theme is great too. I hear that and I think Memphis because that sounds like Memphis jazz.
It's one of my favorite film scores. And it's a film score that, much like this movie, doesn't exist anymore. There is no
Mhm.
way you would hear a score like this in a film today. I
Nope.
think
Yeah,
it totally works for the film. You're not sure about it when you first hear it. You're like, oh, it's all piano, and
Mhm.
he nails it. And of course, Grusin's collaborated with Pollack a few times before this already. He did a really
Mhm.
great score to 3 Days of the Condor,
Yeah.
a similar kind of moody, but this really stands apart. I think I don't know if this was nominated for score. I think
I
it
don't,
was.
might have been, yeah.
I think it was. It's one of the most unique film scores I think of the 90s. It's one of my favorites.
yeah. There's something really fun about the piano work in the film because there's such a sometimes very chaotic energy going on in the film because of the nature of the jazz piano. It actually adds so much into each scene where we
Mhm.
see just the rapid succession, the keys going up and down. I feel like it really does add to that chaos, but at the same time, it's in this setting of a very structured world that's corrupted. So
Yeah.
I really enjoy it.
Well, I think the thing that revealed itself to me watching it this time was like, okay, what's like tenets of this kind of jazz trio work, right? Is that it can kind of go anywhere, but it's just sort of there, it's just bebopping in the background. And what I got from it was like, you feel like this is such a big story and it's all this corruption and oh my God, but what's really happening? You're going about your daily life. Everybody's going about their lives. The lawyers that are in on this, they don't see themselves as bad guys. I mean, it's called out more closely in the book, but Law or Lambert kind of does a little bit of this, like, hey man, we're not the criminals. We're just like shoveling money around. It's just the friggin' tax code. Who can read that shit anyway? Like they're justifying it for themselves. So I love the idea that like there's this almost chaotic score happening in the background, but it's done so in a way that's just like so smooth and easy that it's the chaos of life. Like I'm gonna get up and go and run errands and then go to work today or whatever. Well, I didn't plan on that wreck on 485 and a random thunderstorm and here's a deer suddenly. But that's the jazz of life, right? I mean, that's sort of what I read it as this time. Maybe it's because I live in Charlotte, but it just would fit. But you're right. We wouldn't get this score these days. They wouldn't do anything like this. This is way too out there.
It's perfectly integrated into the film too. To your both your points.
Hmm.
It's sometimes it's in the background, but sometimes it feels like a character, and you can tell the
Mhm.
editors must have really worked around Gruesom's score because there's one really effective uh, cut early in the film, right as the sprinkler hits Lamar's
Hmm.
pant leg. It quick cuts to Mitch and Abby in the car, and Gruesom's score does like a single piano note. It's like bum.
Yep.
It had to have been deliberate, and there's a bunch of similar stuff like that sprinkled throughout the movie, and it's
Yeah.
just one of the many reasons I love this score.
That's a
Yeah,
great scene too. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that it actually was something very early on that to me really reminded me of just how menacing the score can be.
Hmm.
Because again, something that we think, oh, fun jazz, but like going on in the background, this is, like you said, Jay, this is just another day for the firm.
Yeah.
But just in that same jazz piece, just one sound of the note and the dissonance
Mhm.
within the scene, it could be the Reaper's scythe, but no, it's just a sprinkler on the pant leg.
I want to talk a little bit about the big change they made for the movie, the ending. We've talked about, how Mitch gets out of this or whatever. And the overbilling thing is part of the book, but it's not how he figures out a way, through it. Like I like this better. I think you said that too, Pat, and I agree with it. I think this
Yeah.
is smarter because it lets Mitch use his at some point in the book, he just gives up and says, "Frig it, I'm just gonna rip everybody off and run away, to Florida or whatever, or to the Grand Caymans." In the movie, you see him working it out. When he's got that guy who's just I call him like Mr. Exposition, client exposition. He's only there to fuss about his bill. And Mitch is just like, tell Mr. Underhill to stick his bill where hold on, I'll call him. And so when he finally talks to him, he's like, oh shit, this is a great idea. Like, this is how I can get them all. And also keep myself from getting whacked by the Nordic guy. I mean, the way he works that out is really smart. For those that don't know, like he realizes that the firm, in addition to shoveling mob money around everywhere, is consistently overbilling all their clients. And when they mail, if you mail a bill that is wrong from a law firm, it is a federal crime immediately because it is fraud. Now you can get out of it if it's a mistake and you can prove it and all that stuff, but they're clearly doing it. And
knowingly wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, there's record after record of it. So he's like, oh, I know how to fix this. I'll pull the actual timesheet versus the bills that we sent out. We'll photocopy the shit out of that, Holly Hunter, and that's what we'll give the FBI. It's a genius idea. And I'll get the mob to let me turn over theirs in exchange for, like, I won't tell them anything about what's on it. I'll just show them where you were overbilled. So as long as I'm alive, they won't know what I know. Capiche? That's a great idea, man. It's smart.
It's a great change. This is one of the few adaptations that really improves upon the source material, I think. It's one of my favorite book adaptations of all time. Because you can't say it's unfaithful. It's very faithful to the novel. You said like 2/3 of it, just like the book.
Yeah.
And this is a much more clever way to conclude it because he's trying to solve this quagmire of how do I stay alive and not get disbarred and actually continue to have a career? And it all clicks for him in a very Mitch McDear way. I think this is true to the character of Mitch McDear. He would have discovered something. Well, like he does discover it in the book. It's not used to this extent in the book, but
Yeah.
it totally works. I'm not sure which one of the screenwriters came up with this idea, but I mean, considering the talent that was working on the page here, I mean, Robert Towne, David Rayfield, like,
Yeah.
I'm not surprised by something like this.
I've always heard it attributed to Rabe, who picked up on that from the book and said, we need to run with that. It's a better idea. And Grisham has even said, like, actually, that's a really good idea. He thought it was good too. He said, that's better than what I came up with.
Grisham loves this movie.
Oh, no, he totally
Understandably so.
Yeah,
I mean,
unlike a lot of authors who will dog on their adaptations till the directors are dead, half the cast is dead, they're dead. You use the right word though, but it's an adaptation. We don't have to shoot it scene for scene. I know the person that did the adaptation for the Odyssey has just been on this tirade against Nolan, and at some point it's like, let it go. It's awesome. It looks good. It's an adaptation. Nobody wanted to shoot your book.
she didn't even write it.
I know. It's like you translated it again, and you did a good job.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I read it. It's cool. It's fun. It's hip. It's got modern cursing in it. Congratulations. But it's not. That does not necessarily equal what was on that screen. And same for this. The end of this book. Anton, you may never want to read it now after we've wrecked it for you, is them going between Motel 6s and Holiday Inns, and trying to outrun the mob on the beach. Like it's kind of boring in a lot of ways. Like it grinds to a halt, after all this action in the middle of it, where they were wise to go, no, we got to put all the action at the end. We got to build tension at the end. So
Still got to read it. I'll say that.
yeah,
It's a great read. You should.
it is a fast read. You'll blow through it in a day or so, but I love the end. I'm glad we're all on the same board with that. I do think it's a smart move, and it's smart to involve Abby more in it because she does disappear in the book. She has no part in any of it at the end, and now no, she's a willing and active participant in this, which I think is her way of reconciling back to Mitch of like, okay, you corrupt son bitch, I can do this too. We'll both get a little dirty here and we'll feel better about it. And if I have to screw your goofy boss, okay. And so I wasn't kidding. I think he pulls off the aura of being a ladies' man. If they had gone through with any more of that, I don't think I could have watched that.
Can I give you my theory on this?
That'd be a different film.
Very different. It'd be the other adaptation of The Firm.
It'd be like the beach scene.
Yeah. Oh.
We're a few heavy scenes away from another erotic thriller classic.
Can I give you my theory on her?
Yeah.
She was 10% into Avery and hated herself for it.
Oh.
Ooh.
Daddy issues coming
I
up?
don't know, but I think when you watch the movie again, there's something about her performance. She's kind of into him, but hates herself for it.
Jean Triplehorn is that kind of smoky, the really cute friend of the super hot slutty sorority sister that everybody wants. But then when you finally get her alone, you're like, oh, you're way more interesting than that girl is. That's who she plays. She kind of always plays that. She played that in Basic Instinct. She plays that
Right,
in friggin'
right.
Waterworld, which is amazingly wild. She plays that
Oh,
well.
Waterworld.
But she plays that like girl next door that's not nearly as innocent as you think I am, kind of thing. And I like that about her. I mean, she's
Yeah.
forward, and but again, in the end of this, like she realizes what's going on, and I give a lot of this to Holly Hunter too. She just brings out good things with people when she's on screen, and the two of them together had they were their own little detective agency for a second. Like it was good. And I can't tell you how many times I have repeated the line Holly Hunter says to um, Cruz when he comes back in and goes like, throw this away. There's a way to do this without getting disbarred. And she's like, is this our chief concern? Like I say that all the time. He's like, is this our chief concern? No one knows what I'm quoting, but now if they listen to this, now they know. Holly Hunter, the firm. I mean, it's a great delivery. It totally works. That's why all the plot twists and loops of this do work. Like it all starts with him getting curious about two lawyers dying in the Caymans, and he hires. You talk about somebody that's not in the movie enough. Gary Busey, woo, he's 1,000 miles an hour in this at all times.
It's a
Oh, he's
perfect,
great.
it's a
He's
perfect
great.
use of Gary Busey.
Yeah. The only other one I would say ever topped it, in my opinion, and this man got nominated for an Oscar, so I'm going to go out on a limb, playing Uncle Red in the horrible Silver Bullet, but he is awesome in that movie. If y'all have ever seen that,
I've seen it.
yep.
That's a Stephen King movie.
As a Cycle of
That's
the
right.
Werewolf
That's right.
adaptation.
Yeah.
You talk about adaptation from the book to the screen, baby. The only thing they did was shorten the time frame. But otherwise, you are watching what is on that book. But he is awesome as Uncle Red. So
Who plays the Reverend in that? Everett McGill?
Ever McGill.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not my fault. You
That's a
meddling
fun-
little shit.
That's a fun book. That
Oh
is a
yeah.
fun book,
Oh,
yeah.
Everett McGill makes that movie too as the
Was that
preacher.
one of his short stories, Anton?
It,
So it's if I remember correctly, one of the few shorter novels that also had illustrations.
mhm.
Yep.
It was an
shit,
illustrated
yeah.
novella. I had it.
Yep.
So that's
I think I still have a first edition copy. So
that's a Corey Haim joint, by the way, too.
Yeah.
Like early Haim. So that's
None of us are calling it a great movie, but
it is
No, but
completely
it's fun.
watchable.
Oh, it's definitely. I would watch it now for
Go
sure.
way back in the archives of Film Strip when Nick and I were doing selected works of Stephen King, and we did that one, and it had been years since we watched it. We were both surprised how much it held up. Even
Right.
have the manager from Major League as a cameo, James Gammon.
oh,
Talk about a
what a
voice.
treat.
Yeah.
Busey in this movie, though, it's sublime.
Oh yeah.
You don't get a ton of Busey, but
Two
you
scenes.
you get the impact.
He's nothing like this in the book. Like he's kind of a redneck in the book. Like you could tell. Like they handed Gary Busey this, and he said, "Oh, I got you, Sydney," and just they just hit roll camera to let him go.
Well, like he's so important because he gives Mitch a lot of really useful information that he uses later, and then I love how he doesn't give him up.
No,
He pays his debt to his brother.
yeah.
Heart of gold. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
I love his introduction is amazing. His scene with the two hitmen is great. And
That's my secretary. She is fantastic.
yeah. She's married to a guy that thinks he sells.
And he still gets a shot off. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what she talks about, Eddie hit him with that cannon he keeps under the desk. So, but if you're a private investigator in Memphis, Tennessee, you probably had 3 of those under the desk, man. So, because that is not an easy town. So, especially then. But again, 2 scenes, but he's totally pivotal. That's why I say the thing about Pollack movies is you may only see someone once, but they give you a great piece of information. They're like, very important characters. So it's the fun part of it.
Yeah, I wish Pollack had done a commentary on this because
Yeah.
he's done commentaries on a few of his films, but this wasn't one of them. And I don't know if you brought this up earlier and I missed it, and if you did, I'm sorry, but this is worth reiterating. This was not a project he developed. He was not necessarily. I wouldn't call him a director for hire on this, but he was not the first director to be involved with this project. He came in relatively late in the process after Cruise was already involved.
Yeah, they were looking at people like Johnny Depp for the role and, several other people. They passed on again. I told you about the whole Meryl Streep, Gene Hackman thing. They finally started getting the cast together and then then Sydney Pollack got brought in, and that brought in all the character actor cast. Like everybody else got. I think Cruise and Hackman and Gene Triplehorn were all on, and I think they had Hal Holbrook, but everybody else came on after Sydney Pollack jumped in because, of course, why not?
That's what he does.
Yeah, he just assembles this, troupe of actors. But we
He
had directors
said
do that.
he told Charlie Rose the reason he was interested in this is he said, I thought this was an opportunity for a lot of wonderful characters. Because that's what motivates him as a filmmaker, characters, performances.
And
that's exactly what this movie is.
And that's Grisham's best stuff. He gets labeled as legal thrillers, but he really writes like workplace dramas and relationship dramas that just have the backsetting of the legal profession or politics or whatever. And all of them, and it's particularly like he had a run. The Pelican Brief, the firm, the Pelican Brief, the Client, and A Time to Kill are like a legendary run of adaptations. Like that's 4 bangers right out of the gate. And then, we started doing shit like The Rainmaker, and we eventually got to The Runaway Jury, which is completely watchable just to watch Gene Hackman and Dustin Hoffman go at each other in a completely stupid adaptation of a movie. But, they're fun in it.
Deep cut trivia for you both. So Hackman has appeared in 3 Grisham adaptations.
Oh, I got you.
What is the third?
The Chamber.
Yes.
Yeah. Also,
Jay's like, come on, I knew that.
Yeah. I saw it in theaters, man.
I don't think I ever saw that.
Oh, don't. I'm just
Okay.
going to leave you with that. I'm just going to leave you with that. So, I tried reading it even afterward. I thought, well, maybe it'll make it better. No, I didn't even get through the book. I returned it to the library pretty quickly. I was not happening. I actually enjoyed The Rainmaker as a book. The movie's dreadful, but
I haven't seen the movie in a long time. Anton, that is on our list to cover, The Rainmaker, because
It's been way too long for me.
Claire Danes, Matt Damon,
Coppola,
yeah,
and it's like on paper you're like, didn't you listed some of the actors that had a great cast.
It did. It should have worked. It just didn't. I will be curious to hear how y'all come to the why it wasn't better, because I don't know why it wasn't either. It's been a long time since I watched it, but I just remember not liking it.
I don't remember anything about it.
Yeah. I remember not liking it and thinking the book was better. I thought The Client was great all around. Another great cast. Pelican Brief's like low-key my favorite John Grisham thing ever. And maybe adaptation too. I love that movie. Because they take the romance out of it, and then you just have prime Denzel and Julia Roberts actually doing acting, and it's fun. So
they managed to make that movie work despite when Anton and I covered it, we pretty much agreed the concept of 2 Supreme Court justices getting assassinated is insane, and I don't even want to think about
that we be paid for by Exxon. Basically, is also crazy.
I don't even want to think about the social upheaval that would cause if that happened in real life.
Grisham wrote things in a time that no longer exists in America, in the Reagan 80s and the Clinton 90s. And you can feel it. It's the most iconic part of his stuff, and his movies feel that. The early ones in particular feel that too, because anything post like 9/11, like this would never exist. Like you couldn't do this anymore. No reporter would ever be allowed that close to a justice. I don't care if you like him or not. Like there's no way you'd ever get in closed chambers with a Supreme Court justice.
Justice Yoda.
Yeah, Justice Hume Cronin. His final role, I believe. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he looks ridiculous.
He probably felt it too. But hey, that's some prime Stanley Tucci as a hitman, by the way.
Oh yeah,
Tooch.
The Tooch.
Can't beat the Tooch. Love the Tooch. No, that's a guy that like. Did he and Pollock ever do anything together? Because oh man, that would have been
no, unfortunately not.
Talking about a director's actor, like that guy just never fails to give a good performance in anything he's in, even if the movie's not any good. But
does anyone not love Stanley Tucci? I'd like to meet him.
I've never met
I don't know.
I've never heard anyone say anything negative about him, like as a person or about working with him too. Like hell, Emily Blunt and Anne Hathaway adore him. Like they still talk about that. It's half the reason they did the Devil Wears Prada 2 was to hang out with him again. Emily
Blunt doesn't have a choice.
I mean, that's fair. That's also fair.
She has to like him.
Yeah. They are kind of hitched at the wagon.
They are, yeah. No, he's great. Could he have been in this movie? Nah, I wouldn't change any of the casting.
I don't know. You know what? I like Kenny as Lamar, but if you told me Tucci played Lamar,
good call.
I'd be okay with that.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Tucci with a blonde wig.
Yeah. That'd be funny. So I could see it. He had one on in the Pelican Brief. He had a little piece going.
He had a couple
Yeah.
disguises on in the
He had
Pelican.
a whole
Yeah,
Freddie
the-
Mercury thing going
Yeah,
on.
Yeah,
yeah.
the mustache. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, was
Then
that the porn theater scene?
Yeah, and then he dressed up like John Hurd, Fat John Hurd, to try to kill Jodie Roberts. poor John Hurd. So,
Oh my gosh, that movie.
yeah. But I mean, again, you talk about just these kind of actors. Like, I'll tell you who could have been in this. He's in The Client, I believe, and it's also in another. It was in Pelican Brief too. It was Anthony Hild, Dr.
Yeah,
Chilton from
yeah. He
Silence
could
of
have been
the
one of the partners.
Lambs. He could have
Danny
totally
Lambert and
been
Locke. Yeah.
one of the partners. Yeah, he could have.
Dr.
Totally,
Chilton.
Yeah, he totally could have been one of the partners. He's perfect in that kind of stuff. So I love that man when he gets angry and starts slamming phones around. So, John Mahoney could have been in this. Yeah, you could just recast this 100 different ways. But again, I wouldn't replace anybody in it though. Like, there's nobody else that I think does anything better, and that's saying something for a movie that's 30 something years old at this point, and went through a lot of people to get to what it got, because they didn't. I mean, everyone said the same thing about Cruise. Like, he's too charismatic. He's too much. Everybody's going to root for him. You got to kind of root against McDear at some point, and then somewhere along the way, probably Robert Towne, who got involved because he and Cruise were collaborators, got in and said, "Oh, I can make him edgy. I got you." Like, you hadn't seen this guy yet, and then
Is this where he met Cruise?
No, they'd worked together on Days of Thunder.
Oh, he
yeah.
did work on. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. They'd have work.
It's
they'd
totally
worked on Days of Thunder.
overqualified screenwriter for Days of Thunder. Holy shit.
Hey,
Robert Towne.
as someone who grew up around that stuff, I'm going to tell you, Robert Towne was on to a lot of things that people in NASCAR were not ready to admit, and now they're like, oh yeah, that's pretty much it. So I mean, they were all like, oh, that's not how it goes at all. And nowadays, like, with all the camera access and the microphones, no, they're cussing each other out the whole race and trying to kill each other. Like, that's exactly how it works. So, but no, Robert Towne. Until Robert Towne co-wrote Days of Thunder, like, what? It's like Slash played the guitar solo on Michael Jackson's Black and White. Like, you can hear it, but you also go,
Yeah.
man, that's kind of like easy for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
Wanted a paycheck. He also wrote Mission Impossible 2.
yeah, which is,
We like Mission
it's okay.
Impossible. It's a
I don't
bad
know.
movie.
It's, I mean, it's a good,
It's entertaining.
Not a good movie.
It's
It's a great.
inter-
It's a lot of great commercials.
It
what
is. It's
Yeah.
it's some
yeah.
good music videos. That's
Yeah.
what, as a Mission Impossible movie. So I agree with that. But that's what's fun though about the Grisham stuff again, is that his secret formula was that I'm going to write legal thrillers and we're not going in the courtroom. Not really. Runaway Jury is really the one that spends time in court, and it's all about the friggin' jury process. So, and then it becomes 12 Angry Men for about 8 chapters. But, and in the movie, it's all John Cusack's 12 Angry Men. So, but it's good. It's fun. It's watchable. It's dumb, but it's watchable. Again, the scenes of Hackman and Hoffman going at each other.
It's one of the last Hackman performances, too.
It is. It's one of his last ones. But he wanted to do it because he and Dustin went all the way back, and they hadn't been able to do much together. He wanted to do that. So
That's cool.
I mean, for me, like, I'll put it out there right now. Hackman's greatest performance in his entire storied career, in my opinion, and this may be controversial, I think it's Little Bill and Unforgiven. I mean, he brings,
that's not a controversial opinion.
he
No,
brings something
it's
to
great.
that is
Yeah.
just tremendous.
He's unreal in that movie.
yeah.
So good. So good. And then, of course, I do the cinematic connection that the call character from The Conversation is the same guy in Enemy of the State, just 30 years wiser.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Anton and I were talking about Unforgiven earlier today. We were talking about Hackman on the phone.
Yeah.
We're just like,
He said, yeah, I rewatched that not that long ago. And I just sat there and just was like, man, we didn't know what we had with you, man. Like, this is, and I watched like a behind the scenes thing too, where Eastwood, like he said, I don't want to do this. I've done enough violent pictures. I'm kind of done with that. Clint said, well, read it again. I think you'll get it if you read it again with me. He said, 'cause I'm kind of done with that too. This one's different. And then he did, and he said, okay, I got it. All right. And then he just 1,000 watts in that movie. Unbelievable. This one's top though. This one's up there. This is a great performance for Hackman. It's not, I don't know that it's a grand Cruise performance. It's a good one, but he's the least important thing in his own movie, which is,
yeah, That's why I said it earlier. It's
Mhm.
not my favorite Cruise performance. It's an incredible use of Tom Cruise.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
Uh, Hackman's never not interesting.
Yeah.
Any role, it
Hmm.
doesn't matter the role. Anton, earlier today you mentioned The Replacements.
Yes.
Hmm.
He totally makes that movie interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Stops it from being a lesser film into one that I always try to come back to for a fun sports inspiration.
It's a feel good movie completely. He's good in it, and he and Keanu have good scenes in that. Like
They do, yeah.
Even Reeves said, "I did this because I
Mhm.
thought it was fun. It looked like
Mhm.
fun, and it was." So that's a fairly stacked cast. You got Happy Hogan in that, and Orlando Jones is in it for a minute, and
Yeah.
Otta Mitchell. You got a few others, So
Yeah.
there's some people that hung around Hollywood for more than a minute and a cup of coffee at the end of that. But I think the last thing I can say about this before we get into the wrap up, guys, is the thing about Pollock movies in particular, and I'm going to toss this to YouTube to riff off of, but I think the way he does things with his villains is so neat. And I say villains, quote unquote, because they don't behave like villains. They're polite, they're patient, they're professionals. Like he knows how to paint people as they're generous, they smile, all that stuff, and that makes their manipulation so much more enthralling to watch.
Yeah, he doesn't do stock characters.
Mm.
Mhm.
Never. You think you're totally right about. I mean, you think about the best version of this is probably Max von Sydow in 3 Days of the Condor.
Oh yeah.
It shouldn't be an interesting performance, but it ends up being this wonderful character,
Mm.
3 dimensional. But like but villains, you're right. He never makes a cartoonish villain in any of his movies. They're always multifaceted.
Yeah, I mean, even not just the villains. I mean, I feel like you can look at protagonists, really any character, and what is such a strength for Pollock is what are the different layers to these characters, that there are different sides. Even thinking back to the English Patient, are the protagonists that we're following in his story, I mean,
Mm.
did a lot of really, you know, not chill things.
Mhm.
Was actively involved in an affair. And I feel like it really is being able to show the other sides of humanity, um, and even just really stripping down the different layers that allow us to just find that empathy for these very flawed characters.
I said we were talking about before we started, Pat, that like Random Hearts is sort of a forgotten Harrison Ford, Kristen Scott Thomas, and Sydney Pollack joint, but it's totally worth a revisit because everybody in that movie is super complicated. The story's complicated and it all lives in this nice balance. That's why he was perfect for something like this, because again, everyone's compromised. What if everyone was compromised? I mean, even Cruz says it to his brothers, like, wouldn't it be funny if you went to prison and I went to Harvard and we both ended up surrounded by crooks? That's the thesis of the movie.
Let
That's
me
why
know if you ever do Random Hearts, because that is a movie my wife and I really enjoy, and
I,
I would love to talk about that.
it would have to be part of like some kind of non-hero Harrison Ford month or something like that, which could be done because he's done plenty of those. So
It's one of his better performances.
yeah, just as long as regarding Henry's not part of that box set, I'll go with it. That's a woo. So I don't know if y'all
Uh,
done that one or not, but oh boy,
no, that movie's nuts.
it's really bad. Have you
I
seen
haven't
it,
seen it in
Anton?
a long time, and I don't know that
Yeah,
I want to.
it's bad. It doesn't follow the advice in Tropic Thunder. Let's just leave it at that.
Well, I think we talk. I mean, I don't know what you guys think. I think Presumed Innocent is probably I think it's his best performance.
Ford probably though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
his most dramatic. Like
yeah,
obviously Indiana Jones is his best performance. Sure,
yeah. But
but
as far as drama, yeah, oh
yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah, it's
Because
huge.
it's such a complicated. Again, Harrison Ford playing this beta character was such a wild turn.
I was so envious of Anton because it was the first time he had seen it,
I
and
Mhm.
know.
you were like, I didn't know if he killed her or not.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
It's
Yeah.
awesome. I'm telling you, I rewatched the television show, the Apple show, after we did that episode because I just needed to revisit it. And Jake Gyllenhaal kills it in that too. I mean, it's a little more convoluted, but it's works. Like you can see why it works. And that leads me to this. Like, I think this deserves, I know it got a TV series, but forget that thing. I think it deserves like that kind of prestige television treatment. I think it would work as like an 8 or 10 episode thing on something like Apple or,
The Firm.
Mhm.
yeah, totally.
If done properly, yeah.
Yeah.
I think in his younger days, Gyllenhaal would have been perfect for Mitch McDear.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Not anymore, but
No, 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 not now. Not
you
now.
got to get somebody.
So Tom Holland.
Yeah, you know what? That actually
Uh,
would work. The seduction of Tom Holland. Yes, because this story is three seductions of Mitch McDear. It's the law firm
Mhm.
one, it's the FBI one, and then the final then is his own ego. And that's the one that wins. But no, yeah,
All
Tom
right.
Holland would kill in this. Yeah, it'd be great. You make Zendaya the one he has the affair with on the beach.
That'd
She'll
be
do
funny.
it.
That'd be funny.
It would be funny.
That'd
Yes.
be interesting.
Yeah. Who else would you put in it though? Okay, we put Tom Holland. Who played Avery Tolar nowadays?
Jake Gyllenhaal.
I was gonna say that
Gyllenhaal.
that kind of works. Gyllenhaal would be good. Okay, then all right.
Yeah.
Who's Lambert then? Got to be an elder statesman
We got to work Tucci into this somehow.
somehow.
I think that's a good choice.
Tucci
Uh,
could be that, but I don't know that he's genteel enough. He can't really do Southern. Like you got to have somebody.
Mhm.
Hal Holbrook's legitimately from the South.
I mean,
Mhm.
I hate saying because he's dead, so I can't use him. Philip Seymour Hoffman would have to be involved.
He would have been a
Mhm.
killer Devasher if you had him, or an Avery. Like he would have been a great Avery.
What do you suppose she finds there, Mitch? Diabetes.
Who could you get to be? I don't know. I'd have to think about it to get the rest of it worked out. Who would be Abby these days? You know,
Mhm.
you have an interesting
That's a
actor.
tough one.
Yeah.
That is a tough one.
I might have to get back to you on that.
Yeah,
I
as
don't
I
know.
say, yeah, we got to revisit the
This is such an
recasting.
incredible thing to plan for now.
Yeah. But
This
I
has
think
to happen.
I think it's got to work. I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't unless there's just some reason why. I don't know, man. The people that produce those things on Apple, they seem to have like their own mind for what they want to do next. And I know it wasn't part of it, but I think it might have been Paramount Plus's early stuff when they did Fatal Attraction with Joshua Jackson. That's a way better than it has any right to be. No, it's really good stuff though. But we'll have to revisit the recasting another time. But as part of the podcast, we're finally here to give final thoughts and popcorn ratings. So, Patrick, Anton, what are yours for the firm? And for anybody who's new to this, maybe from your audience, we rate things on a popcorn scale here. So, from small, medium, large, extra large, and the bigger the bucket, the more you liked the movie. So, Anton, let's start with you.
I mean, I'm a big fan. I'm gonna have to give this like just a this is a two-hander bucket of popcorn. Like this is a big old bucket. Um, Plenty of layers of butter just because it's so many levels of comfort, but just the perfect amount of salt. And I think for every layer, it's just almost the different layers that make this film just so enjoyable, which is ensemble cast, great story, great editing, great score. Um, I I just can't say enough. It's just such a great. It is just such an enjoyable film. So.
App.
The biggest XL popcorn imaginable, like an oil drum with lots of butter. No, this is one of my favorite movies. I don't think there's anything you could really do to improve this. I hesitate to say it's a perfect movie, but in my mind it kind of is. The criticism that you often hear about this film is that it's too long, and I say nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing you could cut out of this movie. Everything in this movie has a purpose. Every tiny 30-second scene, every line of dialogue, every minor character plays a part in this film. It's wound like a Swiss watch. You have to give credit to the actors of how just amazing of a cast this is. This is forget the 90s. This is one of the best casts in any movie ever. Just top to bottom. Everybody delivers. It's representative of everything I like about Sydney Pollack as a filmmaker. It's not his best film, but it's probably the most representative film of his career. If someone were to ask you, like, what's the most Sydney Pollack movie, I'd probably point them in this direction. It's a very accessible movie, mainstream movie. Yeah, I mean, no other real notes. It's just, I think it's weirdly underrated too. I think it's pretty highly regarded, but if you look at the Rotten Tomato score, which I realize doesn't mean everything, it's in the 70s. It's curiously low. I think it's one of the most outstanding dramatic thrillers ever. And if anyone hasn't seen it, definitely check it out.
Yeah, I would do a double recommendation. I would say read the book and then watch the movie. Don't ever watch that TV show. From everything I've heard, it's awful. I tried watching 5 minutes of it. I couldn't get into it. But this is like the most perfect large popcorn ever made. Like it just everything about it is equally balanced. And that's what's fun to me is no matter what they do Grisham adaptation wise, the first two are always the best for me because I think they had the best directors, Pollack and Pakula. And if you guys will go back and revisit Pelican Brief, I think you'll appreciate it a little bit more because it's built the same way this movie is. Like it really is. The story's wildly different, but it is an actor's movie and it's a scenery movie and a soundtrack movie and all that. And that's we were talking about the soundtrack earlier. I did tell you, I downloaded that sucker on the Apple Music this week just to have bebopping in the background. I said, it's great to work to music too, by the way. But everything about this works. And, I see Tom Cruise out here. I think he's doing his last ditch effort to try to win a trophy, with this Digger movie. And maybe I hope he gets it, but I've also seen The Odyssey and I'm going to watch Robert Pattinson do 7 other great things this year. So I don't know who's going to get it, but I think it's a role that if you like him and stuff like A Few Good Men, this is way better. It's way more interesting. When he plays subtlety, and he doesn't get to do it very often because especially now, he has to be a friggin' superhero all the time. But when he gets to play smart and subtle, he's really good at it, and he always has been. And I like him in this, and I like everybody in the cast. Hackman's a soar for me, as in soaring eagle, not soar on my back. But everybody in it's great. Wilford Brimley. Tip the hat to you, Grandpa, for just being the scariest dude walrus in the world. So it's amazing to see. But all things about this work, and I'll echo what you said too, Pat. I don't get the criticism this is too long. I'm always left wanting more. I want to know more. I want the side adventures for all these other characters. I want to follow Ray, and we didn't really talk about him, but Ray and Tammy and the Caymans and whatever they're up to. They look like they could get up to some fun. So an interesting group of people. So straight there is only about 1.5 feet taller than her. So that was also kind of funny. But I like everything about it. And it had been a long time since I revisited it, so I'm glad I got a chance to do it with you guys. And again, large popcorn for me, very strong. Recommend as well. So, Pat, Anton, again, thank y'all so much for coming on and being a part of Film Strip. Tell folks how they can follow you and follow all the great things you got going on at Why Wasn't It Better?
Anywhere you get your podcasts, but primarily Spotify and Apple. We have a YouTube channel as well. We're on X, we're on Instagram. Letterboxd is really the best place to follow us on socials. That's really where we're seeing the most growth, and it's the best way to see what we're covering, what we intend to cover. We're never going to run out of films to cover. So, yeah, check us out. Why wasn't it better?
Yeah, if you're like me and you get on that letterbox and you don't want to be spoiled, don't click too far ahead. But it's always fun to look at, and appreciate you guys coming on the show again. Of course, folks, if you're listening to this, you can follow this show on social media at Film Strip Pod, where we share announcements about upcoming shows, all the fun content. Of course, this show is available everywhere fine pods are cast, 16 years plus and going strong, and no time to quit anytime soon. We're coming out of summer, heading to the fall. We got some fun things planned for our annual Shocktober, and then wrapping up the year as well. You can follow us. We do have a pretty active YouTube channel now where you mostly get audio of our shows, but occasionally you'll get video and stuff. And our buddy Phil at the Movies and I had a good fun talk about The Odyssey recently. So if you want to check that out, I encourage you to do so. We appreciate the support. So until next time, thank you for listening to Film Strip.
Thank you for listening to Film Strip. You can find more episodes on our website, filmstrippodcast.com. The Film Strip theme music is produced and performed by Frozen Lake 121. All content used or discussed in these podcast episodes is the property of the respective owners and used under the Fair Use Act, Section 504, C2, Title 17.